The rise of vibe coding has brought some interesting developments to the product and UI UX design careers, and in today's video I'm going to talk about one of the best, if not the best, tools for designers out there, Aurachat. The new buzzword happening these days is vibe coding, and all designers out there should learn how to vibe code to keep up with the trends, to help developers develop solutions faster, as well as develop as designers themselves. Today's video we are going to talk about Aurachat, and Aurachat is a tool which is created by the people behind Angle, and I mentioned Angle multiple times on my channel. Angle is a tool for mockups, so they have Sketch, Figma and XD mockups. They have thousands of these mockups, and you can check my channel and go back and understand what kind of Angle is, and people behind them are called Design and Code, and person behind all of this is Meng To, person who actually created Aurachat. And what Aurachat is just a tool like, for example, Lovable or Bolt or V0, so to help you develop solutions using vibe coding techniques, so using prompting your way to a solution, and then you can use a tool such as Cursor, for example, to further develop that, to add functionality to it, and then you can host it and add backend to it and add logic to it, and basically develop your own fully fledged product starting from scratch. So how is this tool different than, for example, Lovable or V0 or Bolt? Because it focuses on designers. So to give you a really quick tour of how the tool looks like, here you have just the basic chat functionality like any of these tools. However, we have some additional functionality. So we have prompt builder, where you can actually build your prompt how you want it and include different selections, assign different values to it. So I will get to it in just a second. Then here you can choose which AI model you want to use, and there are a bunch of them to choose from. You can attach a file which is going to help Aurachat create your design. Then you can import directly from Figma, which we will show in just a second, and then it's going to develop your design even faster. Of course, you can write something, and I will suggest you using ChatGPT for prompt building, for example, and then take that prompt directly to here, which is just going to help you develop solutions even faster than writing prompts yourself. However, you should know how to write prompts. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of videos online about it, because you can then know and spot how to refine a prompt that you get from ChatGPT. Below we have iterations, and what I created so far. You have your recent chats, then you have trending, and it's usually from Meng To, because as I said, he's the one created this tool, and he's extremely active in creating, updating new inspiration, new tools, new sections for you to copy, which we'll come to in a second. Then you have what's been recently featured, what's been popular for the web, popular for the mobile, and popular animations, because you can also include animations inside. Regarding pricing, you can start for free. So what you get for free are 5 daily standard messages using one of the lower models out there. Then you have 0 premium messages, which is for these higher models, and higher models are GPT 4.1, Claude 3.7 and 4, as well as Gemini 2.5 Pro, but we have O3 model as well there. So that's for free. You can get started, you can get your feet wet, just try the tool, understand how it looks like. And then in the Pro, you had 100 monthly premium messages using these premium models, 500 standard messages using standard models, but then you also have additional functionality such as image to HTML conversion, which I just mentioned, where you can just attach an image right here. You have added Tailwind code functionality, so if you know how to code, you can edit Tailwind code directly to here. You also have import from Figma, export to Figma, undo and redo, 1000+ different templates that you can remix, which we'll come to in a second, as well as the prompt builder. So all of that is included for a really reasonable price, I would say. So just check it out, try it out for free, and then at the end you have max, but this just gives you higher monthly premium messages as well as monthly standard messages. Then finally, I want to mention on changelog, because he updates this tool all the time. So if you go to changelog right here, you can see what's been added recently. So at the moment of recording of this video, he added embedded elements, hues and blurs, labels, scroll fixes, and all of these things. But you can scroll down here and see how often he updates the tool and what he's been adding as of recently. First tool I want to mention is Remix. So if we go right here and we go to the browse, so browse feature allows you to quite easily browse various different categories to get you started really quickly so that you can then remix whatever you find. So here, if we go to the top, you can search by popular, you can search by recent, but you can search by web or mobile. And then in web and mobile, you have some of the most popular sections which you can use to remix. Now, don't get this confused if you get started with a header that you like, that you then have to create the rest of your design in some different style or whatever. These are just pointers to get you started, to get your kind of feet wet and to help you move the project along at a faster pace. So even if you get started with the pricing section, for example, or a hero section, you can style the rest of your website in the same sort of style, or the rest of your mobile app. Then you have animation, which are various different open source animations included inside, and then you can also use those and remix those. And finally, we have separation by tags, so grids, input, payment, menu, background, and 3D. So to get us started, what you can do is just click on one of them. For example, this one, it's going to open it up in a new tab, and then you can see how it looks like. So you have this cool animation in the background. You can see it's made by Aura, who made it. And then here you can you have your different code options. So what you can do is copy the code and paste it directly in the prompt builder at the home page right here. So you can paste this code if you want to. You can save HTML file if you want to get started directly from here and go to something like cursor, for example. Then you can just take it there, save this section as a PNG or JPEG, screenshot it, or copy HTML embed if you want to embed it someplace else, or you can also copy JSX embed. What's funny here and what's really fun for us designers is this remix feature. So what you can do is access it from here, as I mentioned, or you can just scroll here, let's say Web Hero, and I want to see different options for Web Hero and what it offers. So then when it loads, what I can do is just browse by Web Hero. So these are all cool modern Web Hero sections, and when I find something which I like for example, let's just pick one at random, let's just take this one. What you can do is you have this remix option, but as you saw, you can open it in a new tab and hit remix from there. So when I click remix there, it gives this base prompt. So this prompt was used to create this, but you can also add additional instructions, so add specific requirements, style changes, or modifications. So we can see that this is a hero section. So let's give it something like, for example, marketing website for a software as a service business, which sells a tool for product designers, which helps them create websites faster. So let's just give it some basic information, and you can click right here. What this is going to do now is take this base prompt, which has been used to create it in the first place, take your prompt, build upon it, use the same style from this section, which we just remixed, and then build an entirely new solution. So while it does this, you can see what's happening here. So you can see that it's generating code. You can see section by section what it's doing. You can see here the original and the adaptation, so what you did. And then you have a bunch of options here at the top, which we are going to cover in just a second. What you have right here while it's building is you can ask it for revisions. So you can fire up the prompt builder right here. You can choose the model that you want. In this case, I've chosen Claude 4 by default. You can attach, you can import from Figma. So you can do all of these things that you did previously. It's just now remixing features. So instead of you starting from scratch, going to ChatGPT or whatever, or thinking about what you can design, you can simply remix these existing designs, and then you can just get started much faster than you previously could. While I explained all of this, it finished. So what we have right here is it's telling us what it did. So you can see what it did, kind of created the website. It's going to refresh to add that nice looking background. And what's nice is you have iterations. You have, you see it's called it design flow, so we can change that if we want to, but it added these micro interactions, background animations. What I'm missing here is the footer, for example. So what I can tell it to, in the same style, please add the footer. Enter or return. It's going to build the footer, and it's going to obviously place it at the bottom of the page. So you can see how super simple this is. So just remix an existing design. You can take it, you can make it your own, and then you can just add different elements on top of it and just build from there. So it's really a huge time saver to get started from somewhere and not from scratch. And it's also having all of these styles for typography, for spacing, all of it built in already. So you don't have to do that. So it's just saving you a bunch of time compared to how it was previously. So now that it's finished, let's check out the results. So if we scroll down, now we have a footer in the exact same style which was used to create this website. So you can kind of see how easy it is just to build on top of existing things right here. So if we scroll through here, we can see, let's go section by section. So we have a nice hero section, we have some key features, we have a trusted section right here. So for example, we have this, which can kind of be like I don't know, promo section or something. Then we have testimonial section right here. So what we can do is we can include a pricing section right here. So to do that, we can use prompt builder. So the prompt builder, when you click it, this is how it looks like. So what we can do is we can go layout type. So hero, features, onboarding, docs, updates, portfolio, gallery, dashboard, all of these different options. And if we, let's go with a payment, for example, payment cards or credit cards. But let's see, no, actually, let's go with the pricing. Layout configuration, you can put it into card, in the list, square. So this is just a basic layout that us designers understand. So it's really nice to have this option right here. So what I can do is use two columns. So for example, here we might have some text, here we might have some pricing, because I want to use really simple pricing. Framing, if you want to frame it, you can. I don't want to do it. Style, because we already have a style here. Theme, I'm not going to touch anything, but you can just see how deep you can go when you first start creating using a prompt builder. Border, shadow, typecase, I'm not going to do any of it. So you can see even animations you can add. So you can add this to the prompt, you can add further details, you can change the names, use different icons, whatever. So I'm going to add this to the prompt. So create a pricing layout, layout configuration, split to two, and then what I'm going to say is add it after testimonials. Add it after testimonials section. Press enter or return, and it's going to get started with the work. Okay, so now that it's done, we can scroll down and see what's happening. So it added a nice pricing section in two columns, as we mentioned. But what it did is after the testimonials, it added the FAQ, which I didn't ask for, but it's good. In this case, it got rid of the footer, which is fine. You can just say you got rid of the footer, please add it back. So you can say it right here. But what I'm going to actually do is walk you through the design mode. So here you have the preview, which is what we have been using so far. You have a design mode, and then you also have a code mode. And then it splits into three. Here you have your prompt, here you have your code, and here you have kind of like a preview of how it looks like. Also in the previewed mode, you can access the tablet mode, so you can adjust responsiveness right there and then, which is amazing. And then you have a mobile mode, basically the same thing. So you can tell it, for example, add a hamburger menu here at this specific size or whatever. So in the design mode, what you can do is you can select any one of these elements and then you can adjust it right on the spot, which is amazing for us designers. So if I say, for example, 20 times faster instead of 10 times faster, what I can do is click right here, go 20 and adjust it in real time. What's great about this is it's not spending your credits, so you can just adjust at will. So you can click here, start free trial. So instead of this, get started today. So you can just see how super simple this is. Overlay element, so it's a button, margin, so you can adjust these. So in Tailwind it says 1 is 4 pixels, so I can say 2, for example, or 3 or whatever. Here we have padding, so left, top, right and bottom, so 3 and 3. If I decide, for example, to add 34, you can see how it increased that, and here say 34, for example. So you can just see how super simple this is to work on, because I hit undo, it did that. Great, so it updated in real time. You can go through your text, you can go through your styles, but not just that. So for example, you can see that it's using a div structure, and this is what it's showing. So here, for example, this is the padding for this div. But if I select this div, then we have this margin. So what it's using, left, right, top, bottom. Here we can see, for example, for typography, it's using this element. So it's been called grade 300, which is basically like variable in Figma. So what I can do, for example, here you can see that it's selected, but here I can click here, for example, and it's going to create and select that. Here you can go and see, for example, for this element, for the div, you can see the transforms which were used and the border which is used and all sorts of different settings that you can use. And then if I want to select this entire section, for example, then I can add different elements to it. So you can see overlay elements, so what it's overlaying, and then text content, so you can enter the text content yourself. So a lot of different options for you to choose from. And I really love this because as designers, we want to make changes really quickly. So you saw what I did just now. It didn't refresh, it didn't went out, it didn't regenerate the code, which saves you just a bunch of times. And I didn't see a tool yet do this, apart from some startups which just got started. So this is definitely something which we will see in the future. But when I switch to preview, you can see that the 20 times faster has been updated as I wanted, as well as this text. So you can see how design mode is really useful for us designers to just add it on the spot, to just change copy here and there. So for example, start free trial and watch demo. So you can do all sorts of different changes right there on the spot, which brings me to section edit. So if I go to the design, for example, and select this section, for example, so this is a hero, but let's do something else. So let's go, yeah, let's take this one as a testimonial section, for example. So you can select its parent, and what you can do is go here to the prompt. So this prompt is just going to change this section. So for example, adapt to dark mode, add details, make adaptive, change text to whatever. What I'm actually going to do is say, include the fourth, include another testimonial to this section, or you can say remove or whatever you want. Hit apply changes, and what it's going to do is it's actually going to generate this just for this section, which is amazing because a lot of these other tools don't offer this section. They just regenerate the entire design, taking you too much time. But here you can see what it did. So it just added another one. So what I can do is select this and say, select the parent and say, have display just 3 instead of 4 testimonials and hit apply changes. What it's going to do is basically reverse back and go back to where we were at the beginning. But this is the whole point of this tool, to allow you as a designer to be super creative, to get down to the nitty-gritty before you even start speaking with developers, before you even export this and take it into Cursor and whatever. So it's just amazing what you can do when you switch back to preview. You can hit save changes if you want, but then when you go to the preview, it saved back to where you were previously. So it's just amazing, the flexibility and the options that we have at our fingertips. It's just blowing my mind. So next, if you're happy with this, and I'm not because we don't have a footer here, so please generate a footer in the same style as the rest of the design. Hit enter or return, and now it's going to regenerate the entire website again, because it has to go through and it has to add the footer at the bottom of the page. And now that it's finished generating, what I want to show you is, so if I scroll all the way down, you can see that now we have a footer, but we have a footer which is different than it was before. All I want is just this with different categories, with different pages, and then I maybe want this, maybe not, let's see. So what you can do, instead of keep regenerating, this is what I love this tool, you can switch over to code, which is great if you don't know how to code, but you want to learn at least something about the code. So what you can do is either select the section, so it's going to point you to the footer section, which is what we want, and then from this footer section you can actually see what's happening. So here we have the brand, here we have the product, the resources, which are these columns right here. So it's basically just a grid with 4 different columns. So resources and company, which is the last one, and then we have a newsletter section. So what we can do is simply select this, which is this newsletter section, hit backspace to get rid of it, and hit backspace once again to kind of compile the code a little bit more. And then if you scroll all the way down, you can see in live preview that it's gone. So what you can do is just save changes, and it's going to save your changes. So if we switch back to the preview, scroll all the way down, we can now see that we have just a regular footer and we have this information at the bottom. If you want, you can switch back, you can scroll all the way down, made with love by the design flow team. So what I can say here is hit edit and say, for example, Alex on design. There you go. So now I can just hit save right here, and it's going to update in real time. So now that we have our fabulous design, what do we do with it? So you can head over here to export. You can copy this HTML, paste it directly into Cursor, for example, or whatever else you're using. You can download this HTML, save it as PNG, JPEG, or copy to Figma. Let's start with the code. So all I can do is, for example, download HTML. So I can show you how it looks like right here. So if I double click, it's just going to open. It's just locally hosted now HTML file. So you can see how that looks like. And what's great about it, if I resize it, for example, you can see that it's responsive. So again, we can switch back, we can adjust this responsiveness, but you can see that everything works just fine. Everything is how we set it up. As I mentioned, if you want to add a hamburger menu and then place all of these menu items in the hamburger menu, you can do so, but this is just to kind of get you started. And what's great about it is, and I tried this already with few of my projects, you can just import this HTML file directly into Cursor and say build this as a product, for example, because you can see that we have a sign-in button at the top. What this is going to do is start a login flow, for example. So you need a profile creation, you need authentication on top of that. So Cursor is going to not just recommend the steps, but help you build additional pages, which you can also do in Figma to help Cursor just recreate this in exactly the same style that you want. And speaking about Figma, what I did is I created just a new Figma file. You can see I called it Aurachat import. So what I can do here is hit copy to Figma. It's going to convert this specifically to Figma file. Previously it was done quite hacky, but now he managed to kind of do it in a more user natural way. So all you have to do is select this background of your Figma file, hit Ctrl or Command V to paste it, and there you go. There is going to be a lot of bugs inside of here, so he is squashing these bugs over time, and this is much better than it was previously. Notably, what you will see missing is this background, but because it's WebGL animation, you have to add this later in Cursor, for example, or whatever other code editor tool you are using. So you can see that we have some bugs right here. So what's great about it is that we have general HTML structure. So we have containers, we have grids, and here we have a mask group with a gradient, for example. So if I hide this, it's here. So you can further adjust it if you want. Everything is editable. So double click, for example, and you can go outside, you can do whatever you want with it. So here, if I hide this, this is one of the bugs which keeps happening because the texts are wrapping around. So what you can do is just go in and extend. But this is great because now if you're working with your clients, for example, you can just show them this and get started from here, make additional changes to this Figma file. And what you can do to bring this back into Figma, into Aurachat, sorry, is right click, you go to copy paste as, copy link to selection, then go back to Aurachat where it says Figma, click here, and then click here. You have to get your Figma API token, and he has a nice tutorial in the resources section where you can just follow this. It's not really that difficult, but I'm not going to show you because every Figma API token is connected to a profile. So make sure that nobody sees what you are doing because this stuff should really be private. You can just hit Control V and it's going to display your Figma file here. Sometimes it's going to show an error, sometimes it's going to show that it's working. So sometimes you have to go the other way around. You have to export it as PNG, import it as PNG or JPEG inside of Aurachat. But most of the time I found that it's working, but you can see sometimes because when it's too large, it's going to show like that. So two options here. You can either reduce it in size. So if it's 1920 by 1080, keep it down to, let's say, 1440 in width. And also you can cut down the section. So right now it's displaying the entire website. What you can do here is say clip content, for example, and then just clip it like this. So hopefully that's going to work and that's going to show it up right here. But basically that's the tour of Aurachat, and I really hope that you can see how super awesome this is. What I didn't cover is section fonts, so you can click here and you can see nice font pairing right from the start. So he was really thinking about what's bugging designers mostly, so either pairing fonts or pairing colors or using different spacings, for example. So he really tried to help you do stuff faster as a designer here. Also with the colors, so you can see the basis of design system that he was using. So you can use quick presets right here, so you can just click and it's going to apply this preset. You can save those changes, so you can see the colors which are attached to different elements such as the background, the text, the border, the hover. So you can adjust all of those, as well as for the assets. So you can use different assets here. You can upload your own, you can add spline background directly from spline. So it's really expanding really as we speak, pretty much. So I'm really excited about this tool, where it's going to take designers, as well as how it's going to develop over time. So there you go. That's been a quick tour of Aurachat. I really hope you enjoyed it. A link is down in the description as well as in the first comment. Make sure to check it out. Make sure to support Meng, because what he did with this tool is simply amazing. I use it every single day in my work just to kickstart some ideas, just to get me started, but also for responsive, because I found that one of the most tedious tasks in Figma has been to create different responsive screens. You can just tell it to create responsive, or if you're using pre-built section which is responsive by nature, it's just going to do it right out of the box. And as I said, you can see how super simple it is to adjust different sections, adjust different elements, and just play around as a designer before you kickstart the development process. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video, that you learned something new. If you have, make sure to subscribe, because I plan to upload a lot of similar content to this one. Until then, take care.